chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to the
Good evening,
show.
Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, good evening, Cayman Islands, and our Sabrina Speaks family. How are you this fine Wednesday? It's hump day, a wet one. Oh my gosh. It came out of nowhere, but we're expecting it. It's good to be back with you today. And yes, I welcome each and every one of you near and from far. I am Sabrina, and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. Yes, I am here with you, and thank you for coming in. I know I just sent out the link, so we should all be good. But yeah, today is going to be another thought-provoking topic that was sparked by a number of conversations that I personally witnessed on Monday. And it'll all make sense as we continue to build here in this space and allow you to settle in and get comfortable for this episode. But yes, it's no secret that we here in the Cayman Islands is pretty much the most expensive place on earth to live. It is a fact. The average person, yes, needs over $3,600 CI a month to just exist, not to thrive, not to save, but to just exist. And yet, the official inflation rate is only 0.1%. Now that's subject to change based on latest stats. So why does everything feel like it's even getting harder? Hence the topic. People are working harder, but feeling poorer. Grocery trips feel like, oh my gosh, financial ambush. Rent, utilities, swallow paychecks. And families are cutting back or doing without essentials. Not luxury. They're doing without essentials. Ladies and gentlemen, the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for your specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. 345-936-8255 is the number to call and be a part of this conversation this evening. I know that we're all talking because I hear you. As I walked myself down some of the shopping aisles over the long holiday weekend, I was listening. I was even approached and engaged with. Yes, and it's all the same line. What's going on? Yeah, how are we going to navigate this? How are we going to survive this? This is real. And you could see the sheer shock on some people's faces as we engage, but it was quite interesting as I too pushed my cart, and you're hearing the conversations. And yeah, but I want to hear from you. Before we get into it this afternoon, let's do some housekeeping first as you share this link. Tell your friends we're live and we want to hear from you. Compliments of the Cayman Islands Weather Service, Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Here's the forecast for tonight and into tomorrow. The synopsis calls that there is a high chance of some showers with fresh to strong breeze and rough seas due to a tight pressure gradient between a stationary front across the eastern Cuba and a high pressure system over the northern Gulf. A small craft alert is in effect. Small craft operators and sea bathers are urged again to continue to exercise caution. Satellite images show scattered layers of clouds across the Cayman area. Now, the forecast for tonight calls for mostly cloudy with scattered showers. May become locally heavy at times. Temperatures will rise near the mid-70s. Winds will be north to 20 to 25 knots with higher gusts, especially in and around showers. Seas will be rough with wave heights of 6 to 8 feet, especially along the west and northern coasts. Swells are expected along the western and northern coast, and small craft alert, as I said, continues to be in effect. That's why it's there, amber, on our screen. The forecast for tomorrow calls for mostly cloudy with a 40% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise near the low 80s. Winds will be north at 20 to 25 knots with higher gusts. Seas will be rough with wave heights of 6 to 8 feet, especially along the west and north coasts. Swells are expected along, again, the western and northern coasts. There will be a high tide at 5:53 and tomorrow a low tide at 12:50. Sun will set this evening at 6:15 and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 7:01. The outlook calls for winds and seas are forecasted to slowly subside through Friday, with northerly winds expected as the pressure gradient across the region weakens. So there you have it. You're seeing we're going to be getting some cooler temperatures between this evening and as we approach the weekend. Oh my gosh, they're going to be having some real field temperatures in Florida, in Miami, that's going to feel like in the 20s. Can you imagine? They're going to be feeling temperatures like it's 20 odd degrees. Ooh. So you know what that means for us. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about you. And because of that front, ahead of that front from what forecasters are forecasting, we are expecting some rain and definitely a dip in our temperatures as we enter this weekend. So I wouldn't really plan a lot of stuff outdoors this weekend based on what the forecasts are saying. I know it's early yet and it's just a forecast, but right now everybody is singing the same tune for in our area for this weekend. So if I were you, any activities, make sure you plan to have them indoors because you could be running for some showers. Yes, it's good to be back. I see you all coming in and thank you for joining me here. We want to send big birthday shout out greetings to Miss Donette. Yes, Donette is celebrating her birthday today. A huge, I must say she is one of the number one fans here of Sabrina Speaks. She's been here like so many of you that I'm seeing commenting from day one. And Donette is celebrating her birthday today. I want to wish her many, many blessings and many, many more birthdays. I want to thank her for all that she's done for her service for 9 years. It was good. And I hope you're holding the fort well, keeping the faith. Happy birthday from all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks family. Also from from Chance and Bella and all of your Cayman family. From all of us here as well on the Sabrina Speaks. We appreciate you. Take care. Yep. And happy birthday as well. An anniversary to anybody else who I may have not been aware of. Celebrating a birthday, wedding anniversary, whatever it is you're celebrating life. That's what we do. It's good to have you all here. Yeah. Connie Bonnie, you're the first to respond today. So proud of you. Good evening in the massive. What's your line? What world? You cut it short today. Denver is in the house. The rich becomes richer and the poor becomes poorer as times passes. Leave it to Denver. Yes, it's good to have you. Always good to have you logging in. Donnie, good evening to you as well, my love. Denver further says, and the rich does not share their wealth as they did 35 to 40 years ago, as my experience right here in Cayman. We can get into more of that when I go into the whole topic today, and definitely. But it's good to have you all here. Marshall's in the house. Hello, Damian Henry, along with everybody else that's joining us, whether or not you're commenting or not. Hi, it's good to have you with us. Yes, yes, yes. Now, let's see how quick I can do this in 5 minutes. Have you heard what's happening around the world today? There's so much, but there's some good stuff. From the streets of Georgetown to the halls of Washington, from Caribbean tremors, can you imagine, to European storms. The headlines are moving fast and they're hitting close at home. I enjoy doing this segment. I could be honest with you, but I digress. Let me get into it. Yes, let me go into your global rundown for today. And right here, let's go. Right here in the Cayman Islands, we noticed that the government has officially launched the My EID, and this is making headlines here at home. We mentioned this on Friday, but it's official, it's official, it's official. And that is a national digital ID card that will be aimed on improving access to services and protecting personal data. Meanwhile, in other news making Cayman headlines today, Employment Minister Michael Miles is calling out employers who label Caymanians as lazy, pushing for reforms to internships and scholarships to boost local hiring. And in Georgetown, yes, right here in our capital, police are investigating an armed robbery at a gas station on Dorsey Drive, and no injuries were reported. Let's go across the pond to the United Kingdom, as Storm Chandra has slammed the UK with 70-mile-an-hour winds and severe flooding as well. A major incident was declared in Summerfest with travel disruptions across the country. At Buckingham Palace, we're seeing where King Charles hosted Holocaust survivors ahead of Memorial Day in a moving tribute to resilience and remembrance. Also in the UK has deported over 280 migrants back to France under its controversial one in, one out border policy. Quite interesting, isn't it? Let's take a look at the United States. What news is definitely making the headlines before coming live? The Federal Reserve has held interest rates steady at 3.5% to 3.75%, signaling caution amidst persistent inflation. But Washington is bracing for a partial government shutdown by January 30th as Senate Democrats block funding over immigration-related violence. A deadly winter storm also in the U.S. has claimed 62 lives across 14 states with widespread power outages and travel chaos. And in the corporate world, Amazon and UPS are cutting a combined of 46,000 jobs, citing automation and cost cutting. Yes, that's what's happening in the US. Let's come right back to our neck of the woods across the Caribbean. A 3.6 magnitude earthquake rattled Kingston, Jamaica this morning. No injuries were reported. And over in Haiti, Doctors Without Borders says sexual violence has tripled amid worsening gang control in Port-au-Prince. And in Trinidad, families of two men killed in a U.S. missile strike last year are suing the United States government for wrongful death. Yes, around the world in Iran, medics are reporting mass casualties from recent protests, calling it a mass murder by security forces. President Trump has deployed a naval armada to the Middle East amid rising tensions with Iran. And in India, the EU has opened a new legal gateway for streamlined visas for students and professionals. There you have it. That's your global snapshot for today. I hope that if you didn't know, now you know it. And these are things that you can further go and look at. And if any of these stories hit home to you, please let me know. Give me a call or give me a WhatsApp, because let's talk about it. The world is shaping Cayman. And guess what? We're showing up in the world as well. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Sabrina Speaks. Tonight's episode is called The Squeeze. How much more can we take? Yes, that's the topic. And I want you to be a part of this discussion as well, as we are going to get more into talking about the cost of living crisis in Cayman, but more so exactly the squeeze at the grocery stores and just looking at it holistically. You know, yesterday we went into some parliamentary stuff. Thank you for all of your feedbacks using a hypothetical scenario. What if? For those of you who joined me yesterday, you know, for those of you who missed it, just tuning in today, you can always go back and find previous episodes right here on cmrtv.com. Also, on Sabrina Turner, community activist on Facebook, and the Sabrina Speaks show as well on YouTube. All of our previous shows are there. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So you guess what? You don't miss an episode, and we're always right there, easy to find. Now, when I'm doing and preparing for these shows, I have to do a lot of research. I have to make sure I fact checked. And as I'm doing it, trust me, the information is coming in. It's different from media houses and all that sort of stuff. Not everything I'm going to run with as well, but it has to also tie in to open up the conversation and make sure that it aligns here. But your feedback is valuable, and it means it takes this to a different level. So I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate your WhatsApp messages. I even appreciate your calls, because that makes it even more interactive. That number, as I said, is 345-936-8255 if you're just joining us. Yes. Sue is here. Good evening, Miss Sue. How are you? And so is Darlene. Good evening. It is so good to have you here. Hi, Bryce, if that's your name. It's good to have all of you in the house with me today. And I'd like for you also, please, share your experiences. I know that I'm not the only one that's feeling it, because, like I said, I'm hearing these conversations. But let's just go into the data right now. I like to bring it into context, and then we put it all together. But I love to hear your feedback when it comes to a lot that's going to be said here. We have had Mr. Woody Foster on here a number of times, explaining exactly what the cost is like for operating a business, inflation, how you navigate and making sure you can sustain meeting customers' demands. He went into a little bit of the logistics as well. But now we're also hearing from the Economic Forum that all puts this into play, how small businesses are grappling under this as well. Shout out to Cayman News Service. There is an article on Cayman News Service survey that is titled "Small Business Struggling to Survive." And this, Wendy did an excellent job here. She actually went into the details of what owners of micro and small businesses are saying. If I didn't know how to cut out myself, I would share my screen. But what I read, what was so eye-catching were some of the comments. And it is, you can go on to Cayman News Service and read it for yourself, but it all aligns into today's topics that is actually saying how much more can we take before we break. And these are real conversations. Some people are saying they can't expand in their business as business operators. Some people are saying, well, it's no different when we go to the store. Someone shared a YouTube link with me. Is it YouTube or Facebook? With someone seeing a thing of blueberries. Was it for $15 or $16? Yeah. And well, we all know the cost of milk, but that's just one thing. One of the most mind-blowing stories that was shared with me just today in a conversation that I had, and I don't know how much of you are actually paying attention to this. They actually purchased some fruit and got to the checkout counter only to see a 4-pound bag of grapes checked out at $29. That's here in Cayman. It was almost $7 a pound for the grapes. Can someone make that make sense? This is real. This is real. And that got me into thinking, how can we sustain? How much more can we take? Okay, fine, you just don't buy it. But it all made sense when I observed, and I don't know if some of you shop owners will actually see if this, can we do this? I didn't even know we could do it. I don't know. But what drew my attention is that I observed a shopper getting, the regular plastic bag to put your sweet peppers, or if you want to get some scallions, whatever, just to combine it, right? I observed, I would say 2 customers actually going through over the weekend that I did some shopping, grapes. Just for the record, it wasn't at the same store. And I was wondering why they were actually removing grapes from the original package and into a regular bag. Now it makes sense. They were probably weighing the 1 pound. And let's say, for the sake of this conversation, a pound of grape is $6. It was better for them to take out the 1 pound out of the bag that they were hoping to sell and just pay the $6. I'm wondering how many of you are actually being caught thinking it's $6 for a bag of grapes, not realizing it's $6 per pound, and that the bag that you're actually picking up is not 1 pound. Sometimes those bags are 2 or 4 pounds. So it's almost 6 fours or whatever, it's $6.79. If it's 4 thing, you're actually paying that per pound. This is real. Hence the question, how much more can we take? Good evening, caller. You're live. Welcome. And early.
Can you believe it? Now you striking at the heart of Siobhan, talking about food and grocery store prices, because from I don't know when I consider myself to be a supermarket auditor. But hearing you talk about the pounds of grapes, and it is absurd. It is. I don't know what the cost is for the grocery store, so I'm not going to even pretend like I know.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just put that out there. And like you said, you have an option of doing without. But I think you and I have had this discussion in terms of how can people keep the cost of their food down and the cost of groceries down,
Mm-hmm.
and still not eat from a can all day.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ways. You just pointed it out. And for me, that was like, I'm so glad that somebody said it. You actually don't have to buy the entire bag of grapes. I'm not suggesting that price is okay.
Mm-hmm. I get you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally didn't know that you could do that, but I observed at least 2 persons. And that would make sense why the bags are open now. But how much people are being caught off guard now, picking up that because it's in its original packaging and thinking,
we knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Now we let them know,
mm-hmm.
right? You can buy as little or as much grapes as you want. The same way you pick lemons, you pick grapes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. And I mean, a handful of grapes can cost you $4.
Mm-hmm.
Literally a handful of grapes. But there are other things and other cost saving measures that I myself have done for years
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get the things that I want. That hand of bananas, you actually don't have to buy the entire hand.
Yeah, I know. I could see my grandmother picking those off back in the day, even if it's green bananas, if it's too big. But I think what is confusing some of the people, and I love the fact that I highlighted it here. Not too many people may realize, because we're so orderly. It is what it is. Now we know. Yeah.
We let them know. Right? My family isn't very big. So buying in bulk simply would not make a lot of sense in some instances, but in some instances it does. Just one of the things, we are a meat and potato kind of island. We like that meat, we like them potatoes. I don't know if am I allowed to shout out any grocery store?
Look, this is our space. And I mean, we're not going to throw them under the bus. I try to avoid it, but we want to highlight those who are doing things.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
I think that Cost You Less does an amazing job at offering very good bang for your buck, particularly in the meat department. Just as an example, like I told you, I am like a supermarket auditor. I check prices constantly.
I've run into you in
Um,
one particular supermarket quite often.
Yeah, that's me. And so I often, and I think what people don't pay attention to, particularly when it comes to meat, is the price per pound.
Yes.
They look at the final price. They don't look at the price per pound. And yes, it will take you a bit longer, but let's say you want to make stew beef. You are going to pay somebody to cut that beef up in cubes for you. You could save upwards of $1, sometimes as much as $2 a pound by buying that piece of stew yourself and cutting it up. I'm sorry. Those are the things that we have to do. We have to become resourceful if we want to eat at a decent standard. I also want them to know, I'm going to give out a big secret now. Ooh, I feel like I've been gatekeeping. Uncle Clem on Walker's Road.
Unsolicited plug.
Clem,
Unsolicited.
my big friend. Shout out to him. He has also done an incredible job with offering very, very competitive prices, very good prices on leg quarters. So that's your chicken leg and your thigh. So it's all together. And you can get that. I don't believe it's changed. So y'all don't go down there and hog it up now. So it goes up. But you can get leg quarters for as little as 99 cents a pound. Unheard of. I've not seen that in any of the grocery stores. Right? You can buy one leg quarter, 2, 10, 20, 100 pounds. You can buy whatever you want. That's another one. If you are from even a larger family, don't even have to be a larger family. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine and she said, before her kids were off to school and, things were a little bit more, she working, cooking every day, her family would get together and they would purchase, let's say, a case of carrots, a case of onions, a case of whatever it was, and divvy it up amongst themselves. Things aren't getting cheaper, and unfortunately, Cayman we're not the only place feeling this. I saw some videos from people out in Canada saying like strawberries were $8. Now that's $8 Canadian. I don't know what the conversion is, but people in Canada, the feel-good nation, they make it seem like they don't have an issue in the world. They are over there reeling from the increase of prices. And I think the guy said, America loses their minds when eggs in the U.S. hit $3 a carton, $3 a dozen. And they're glad when it's $5. They're like buying 4 cartons at a time, And so I think it's all relative. And being where we are, we know what the situation is. I personally think that there's a lot more that we can do on a national level, on a local level, on a parliamentary level to kind of fix up the egg situation, but they ain't willing to do that. So unless I digress. But there are more things that we can do. That's my little food plug. Oh, one more thing. I want to also encourage everybody best they can, because I think that the butchers will be more inclined to do it if there was a demand. I just want y'all to know, in a lot of instances, local beef cheaper than USDA beef, which is primarily where we get a lot of our beef products from.
Correct.
And well, them Cayman cows, they all happy. So you're getting good beef for the most part. I will send you a photo just for comparison because that's what I do. And in one instance, the same, let's say chuck roll, it's a piece of chuck where you use for ground beef. That was $7.29 a pound for the USDA imported beef versus $6.50 for the local beef. Again, the supermarket puts a markup on that as well. So if you go straight to your butcher, I ain't trying to put no supermarket out of business. I'm just saying, support your butcher. Do that. There are people here who also have local chicken, who sell chicken. Maybe you might not be able to buy, or maybe sometimes I personally buy whole chickens. It works better for me. It's more economical. It's my preference. It works out much cheaper. I could go on for days. I feel like I'm in heaven telling everybody about this. But there's so much that we can do. planning meals around the supermarket circulars. Each supermarket runs a circular every 2 weeks. So you don't, you can kind of plan ahead for things.
Where do we
And
get
it
the
might,
information for the local butchers? Do you
so
go to a local farmer's market? How do
I
you
can
get these
send you
things?
some. I can
Yeah.
send you some local butchers. So I have again, it's a shameless plug. I prefer Mr. Clifford on Walker's Road. I think his beef is great. Not knocking anybody else's beef. He's my butcher. He treats me good. I'm happy to share his details, and I'm sure he would be happy for me to share his details. But again, I prefer to buy local. It's my thing. I'm not suggesting I don't buy others,
Understood.
but that's that's what I like. And there's just so much that we can do, Sabrina, to bring our own cost of living down. My helper's been with me for 6 years, and we know what it's like for persons on that earnings end of the spectrum. And through being with me, I've been able to show her how to still be able to enjoy something green on her plate. Like, just as an example, one of the grocery stores, I won't name it, one of the grocery stores sells broccoli for $4.99 a pound. That went up, doubled. That price has doubled since, I want to say, August of last year. That doubled because I always bought it from there because it was $2.50. But now it's $5. $5 a pound. You're getting about a head of broccoli. I prefer to buy the head because we rarely eat the stem. So it's not feasible. You're paying for a lot of waste.
Yeah.
However, I found that Kirk Market sells head of broccoli for $3.29. Now, I know people will gripe and go, oh, Kirk's so expensive. That's, again, not my experience with Kirk Market. Also, Foster's, I think that they've stepped up and done an incredible job with, they have a pick 5 special where you can go to the meat section and pick 5 types of meat. I personally, not my thing, but I personally have taken a look at it, seen what the selection is. I've had conversations with the butchers and said, listen, I think that the selection don't look so hot today. It don't look so right. Y'all got to treat people better than this and start giving them more quality stuff because a lot of people are actually relying on it and they deserve to eat more than
I think
chicken
it's
skin.
pick 5 for 20. Is it 20?
Pick 5 for 20. And that has been, again, shout out to the Foster family. That pick 5 has existed since
Exactly.
Since before.
And I could be
had a
honest,
child.
no shame in my game, which let me please digress. And I welcome
Of course.
persons who commenting to go on this. How do we, it is stats have it, right? That the cost of living, the worldwide average, Cayman's cost of living is like 3.17%. I got some stats. And food costs rose by 4.5% in 1 quarter alone. We saw an increase in school fees. Now, these are going to go up even more as we see certain things are going to kick in, right? 5%. And even telephone services, we have noticed based on my research, went up by 10.3%. Caller, the main reason why I'm calling out those stats, the quality and the high standard of life that we're accustomed to here. There's a sense of pride. There's a sense of shame. And what brought this to the forefront of my mind to mention it is that you would be surprised how much of our people don't go to the pick 5 because it's almost like it's beneath them. How are we going to survive? How are we going to navigate if we can't? There's no shame in your game. We all have to do what we have to do to tighten our belts and braces.
Let me explain it another way. And like I tell you, I'm a supermarket auditor. I go to supermarkets for fun. What I find, I don't think it's shame. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that that's what it is anymore. But I found previously that the quality of what was there was subpar would be a compliment.
Understood.
I'm just being honest.
Okay.
Subpar would be a compliment. And I don't think that it's fair for anybody to go and pay for you're still buying something. You understand what I'm saying? And it should be, you're not getting filet mignon and maybe you're not getting chicken breast, but although they have added chicken breast, which I think is good.
They do. And they had some good cuts for pork chops. Some
good cuts of pork. They got some thick cut bone-in pork. Oh, I check it out. Don't get me wrong. I purchase meat in bulk because that's the way I'm able to do it and distribute it amongst my family. I've got that bulk buying family thing going on. So
Mhm.
that works for me. So I'm able to have access to other meats and I wouldn't say a better quality, but better variety.
Yes.
Let me say that. So I'm able to do that, and it works. It works out for me. I spend give or take about the same thing, and I'm not stuck eating the same thing over and over and over and over and over. But again, it is. I think it's each person's responsibility to kind of look at how what you can do, and I know it is hard. Believe me, I'm not here being unsympathetic or unempathetic towards anybody. It is expensive. I shop at the grocery store too. I have a small calf in my house. A half carton of milk lasts about 3 days up in here. Yeah, it's $10. So believe me, I sympathize, I empathize with everybody. But I think again, particularly for Caymanians, we gotta stick together and we've got to do whatever we gotta do to try to make sure that we are eating foods that are nutritionally beneficial to us instead of the same old fried and what we know is not good and definitely causing us to live shorter lives. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. It's going to take a little bit of effort, but I promise you it's worth it. I promise you, it is absolutely worth it. I've been on a kind of a whole lifestyle change myself over the last 7 months, and the results are incredible. I will share them with you because I don't want to talk about that. But for me, food is everything. Like, I don't know how much people watch me on social media, but I share food. Like, I wake up and search up food.
That's your happy
Right?
place.
Because that is my happy place. And I think that we are, I think Cayman is or said to be the culinary capital of the Caribbean. And I think that that's reflected in our kitchens, in everybody's kitchens. And I think that we can all eat a nice meal. We can eat a curry chicken, a barbecue chicken, a baked chicken, some stewed pork, some stewed beef, and not feel like we had to sell our arm and our leg to enjoy it. There are nicer cuts that we might want to eat, but those nice things come at some
But
time.
in general,
this should be a treat.
in general, even paper towels we're seeing right now in some numbers based on if you're going to buy in bulk, close to $30.
Absolutely. But I don't think that's not, to be fair. I'm a paper towel family. I mean, I threaten my children all the time that we're going to start using rags because that's how I feel about, these things. But to be fair, I have not seen an increase in the paper towels at all.
It all depends on which ones. Sometimes you will get other brands, but what we're seeing is a fluctuation in the higher numbers. Don't even talk about laundry detergent. It all depends on what you're using.
Can I tell you a secret? I still have laundry detergent from COVID.
You're the second person for today to telling me that.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And there is no change in my game.
Okay.
I still have laundry detergent from COVID, and it's still good. It's still washing, and there's no shame. I feel like I brought in a full 4-foot container of it because that's how bad it was.
Okay.
But I mean, there's certain things that I think, I'm speaking to Caymanians, I ain't saying nobody else can't take my tip, but I mean, this is us. We got to live on that $1,500 or $1,400 or whatever it is they want to give us for pension. We got to live on it, and we got to make it stretch, and we shouldn't be eating too much canned food. We shouldn't be eating too much carbs, too much of nothing. Right?
Do you see people coming together more and probably just going up and purchasing stuff in bulk and sharing the weight and freight and duty? Do you see that becoming a norm? Because I am seeing and I'm hearing these, and the conversations are loud. What if you see that increase now? I'm hoping that those persons who are in business, it says a lot that you would actually prefer to pay either someone to go do a big bulk shopping or to actually do that. If we're seeing an increase in that.
I will give you an example. My son he's special needs. And he prefers a particular cereal. That cereal in Cayman is $13 a box for the smallest box. Out of the US, it's $5.29 US for the family size box, which is I think a 14-ounce box.
Mm-hmm.
versus in, I think, 9-ounce box here. There is no shame in my game. I definitely did get someone recently to like stock a bag full because the only one who eat, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just the reality. So when I look at that and say, wow, why is Amazon able to sell the same cereal for $5.29, but you're selling it for $13? That perplexes me.
Yeah.
That perplexes
And
me.
I think
What
that
your
is the look
markup?
that I'm seeing on people's faces now,
Yeah.
because some people do
Yeah.
weekly grocery shopping, and some
Mhm.
people actually just go as almost like a pay as you go, you get and you grab and you go. Some
Correct.
people just like to do it monthly. But for
Correct.
those persons who do it more frequently, they are convinced that it's almost daily that you're seeing an increase in prices, because I guess they would keep a tab on it much
But
more.
I was gonna say they would be more like myself. Like I said, I go to the grocery store to get in step sometimes and just to see what it looks like. But I also do. I like to audit. I'm gonna be honest. I'll give you an example. And another way, people need to pay attention at the till. I'm not gonna suggest that this is intentionally being done, but some of the grocery stores have like sticker sales
Uh-huh.
on items.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the cashier doesn't see that sticker. And if you're like me, I'm adding up my bill, kind of
As you pick
roughing
up.
it out as I go along, just because I want to know what my bill's supposed to look like when I get to the till.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention at the till. Make sure that something isn't double scanned. These are humans checking you out, and it's not self-checkout. Anything can happen, right? But also pay attention. I was in one of the local grocery stores. Their weekly circular had a particular cut of pork on sale for $2.79 a pound. However, in the actual meat stand, that same cut of pork was $3.19 a pound.
Oh.
Quickly brought it to the attention of someone I'm on a first name basis with these guys, okay? It's that good.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, why is this $3.19 a pound? Circular says $2.79. And he was like, I said, well, can you fix it? He said, absolutely. Called headquarters. He said, 15 minutes, it'll be done. I waited to make sure it was done
Mm-hmm.
because it was that important to me. So I think these are the types of things. When you're picking up something off of the shelf, people are shopping, and this one is for supermarkets. People are shopping based on the price on the tag, not
Yes.
in your system.
Right.
Okay, so I think for the most part they try, but bear that in mind that we're shopping based on the shelf, the price on the shelf, and that's what we expect to pay.
Mm-hmm.
If it's changed in your system, I think more care and more due diligence should be taken to ensure that update is filtered down so that the customer knows what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But again, I will always say the onus, I think, is on us to make sure that we are getting our best bang for our buck. And like I said, you might be wanting to have some ribeye steak, but you might be able to only afford a chuck eye steak. Get the chuck eye.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
I liked what you share in regards of just buying the whole chuck and cutting it up yourself versus
Yep.
buying it. And this
Yep.
thing about getting or even your vegetables already cut up, you're going to pay for that. Like
Well, somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody has to do
Yeah.
it.
And
we
you're
now
gonna
know
pay
that
for it.
We now know that the person doing it is earning a minimum of $8.75 an hour. You think that that's not going to be reflected in the cost?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Somebody is getting paid to do those things. It ain't free. It ain't free to be on the shelf. That supermarket is paying for electricity as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that commercial customers pay more than residential customers. I'm not giving them an excuse to rape us. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying bear that in mind. So I have a food coach, and he said, food in its most natural form. Cut it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Cut it yourself.
The thing is, people are hearing from our leaders in even forums that you go to about inflation and all that sort of stuff. You're hearing all of these live stats, which I've shared for context. But you can tell someone that inflation is 2, 3, 5%, but that doesn't mean anything if their rent is skyrocketed by $300. If bread has seen an increase, let's say by $2 or $1.50. I mean, how do you equate that to just survival? People don't, in this case, feel percentages, They feel the
Can I
pain
be
at the
honest?
pump. They feel the pain at the registers.
Can I be honest?
Go ahead.
I think that a lot of the politicians, and I mean this across the board for
This
all
is not
19
getting
of them.
political. I'm just saying, when you out there
No,
and you're
it's
thinking you're
not.
doing a good job by giving stats.
I'm
Yeah.
not trying to make it political, right? But when they're out there giving statistics, it doesn't translate. It doesn't translate for the average person who doesn't understand economics, who doesn't understand what
Correct.
that percentage actually translates into, right? But on a human level and a humane level, I think that some of our MPs are so far removed from the realities of what the everyday person in the Cayman Islands actually lives and does and goes through. It's difficult for them to put themselves in that position. And you know the unfortunate part? I don't know why or how it's difficult, because some of them literally went from unemployment, underemployment, or some form of basic employment to collecting, I don't know, you can enlighten us, $9,000-$10,000 a month. So I'm not sure how they can be so far removed from what the cost of living actually looks like now. Don't they eat? I mean, maybe some of them don't go to the grocery store. I can't tell you the last time I saw one in there, but I'm just saying they have to be buying groceries too.
I'm going to be very blunt with you about going to the grocery store. 90% of the time that I was spotted during the 4 years, 3.5 years, 4 years, I was pretty much doing shopping for an event or for somebody else. Caller, your MPs really do not have the time.
I'm not suggesting that they do. But
You understand what I'm saying? No, but
what I'm saying
I
is,
said it like this is because when reality hit, you're so busy doing this, trying to meet your timelines and all this sort. I'm speaking from myself. I can't speak for the rest. I was like, are you kidding me?
and
What's going on?
That's fair. But what I'm saying is we can't all be out here lying when we're saying it's killing us in the grocery store. It's literally killing us. Okay? When something I was in one of the grocery stores about a week ago. A lady in ahead of the queue, in the queue ahead of me, was trying to get stuff. I could clearly see kids stuff. Kept swiping her card for $10.
Oh,
$10. It declined. That is the reality that we're living in this country. I covered it. Yes, I did. But that is the reality. I don't know what her circumstances were, nor do I care. Nor do I care. This was somebody who was clearly trying to get what looked like breakfast items for kids. And she didn't have $10 on her card. Like,
oh wow! And you look and you'd be
that
like,
is the
"What is
reality.
$10?" Yeah, but it's real.
That's it.
Yeah.
But that is the reality. That is what we're up against. During COVID, and I mean, I hate to hark back to COVID, but during COVID, one particular primary school principal, her and I talked at length because, and she said, Shiv, if I don't mobilize this bus and get to my children, some of them won't eat. Okay? That is the reality in this country. And it's not the ones, and I'm not trying to be derogatory or rude, it's not the people who we know. It's not Sabrina who we know, she's always had problems, so they're always, those are not the ones. Because those people are going to be looked out for because people are aware of them. It's the ones that stay quiet, the ones who seem to have it all together, and the ones who we would never expect to be struggling. Those are often the ones struggling the hardest and trying their
I am glad you went there because,
I
am so glad you went there because a lot of persons are struggling. And like Donnie says, a comment that was made, I see that all the time. I do it as well, meaning when she see people card decline and she does the same thing. But what brings it to reality is I'm getting some comments even from the sister island. Abby says, my heart pains for the sister islands. We have made it in Grand Cayman in comparison, meaning we have it over here made in comparison to the sister island. But listen to this. We're buying 2.5 dozen eggs for $5 in Grand Cayman. Meanwhile, 2 9-volt batteries in BRAC cost $21.99.
I just want to clarify for her that those $5.99 eggs were part of the sale circular. That is not the regular price. Albeit, I will not argue with her that I don't know what is going on in Cayman Brac, but they are just ridiculous. I have a friend who has shared with me on occasion. I think she posted like $17 cream cheese. But aside from that, has lobbied for better prices in the Brac. She would say the meat sometimes is green. They've had it so long. It's green. We don't have any choice but to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See that kind of stuff? No, that can't work. That can't work. It's almost like they are the red-headed stepchildren, it seems. But we kind of all, in some sick kind of way, it just really feels, at least in my opinion, like we just fighting the grocery stores and begging them to do a little bit better. And for all we know,
we're trying to wrap our heads around how to survive, how to navigate, which goes back to the title. How much can we take? Miss Lucille says, and I quote, Sabrina, that lady need to open a classroom. She would be a great teacher on the cost of living. With how you've been able to navigate these things, look for certain things and share your knowledge, what you do to survive. But how much of us don't even know how to do that? And the stress, the pride, the fear of I guess, shame. And then you just sit there and you bottle it up and you wonder why we're dropping down with heart attacks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These are some of the things.
Stress,
correct.
Aside from the stress, pride is a big thing. But you got babies that you've got to stick around for. You got babies that you need to feed, and that are looking to you to make good on, to make good. And this is what I want to emphasize. Being kind is so important.
Don't judge.
Being kind.
Don't judge.
Being kind. You think I mean, I was a huge advocate for that free school lunch, but there was a lot of pushback. You would know that. There was a lot of pushback. Well, Sabrina can go get her nails done. Why her kids need free lunch? Children should never pay the cost for adult decisions. Never. And children don't know anything except when they're hungry, they're hungry. That's all they know. They don't know about their mothers or their fathers who prepared, provided, who did. They don't know. And if adults cannot function on empty stomachs, how do we expect children to do that?
But do you realize when these financial costs really hit people, the emotional turmoil that it puts them through, your mood, your mind, your relationships, your even sense of self is impacted. Everything.
Your absolute sense of everything that you know about you can almost be stripped away in almost like a flash. You're working, you're being responsible with your money. You're doing everything that they said that you should be doing. And Sabrina, sometimes it's just not enough. I ain't talking about the people out here popping off. I'm not talking about that.
No. We're just
talking about
honest
people
talk.
who are being reasonable and responsible and doing their honest to God best, trying to go to the grocery store, trying to live a healthy life. And actually wanted, I feel like it's almost audacious. It feels like it's almost audacious when people want to eat healthy. And that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. I mean, I'm gonna call them out now. Why is it you can get a meal deal at Popeyes for $4, but you can only get a Hannah grapes $4? Why is that?
And it was something that I saw as well. Lard is duty free. That don't mean it bad.
So are those expensive leather bags.
Exactly.
Why is that?
Yeah. So
these
are some of the things that, it's going to impact when who's feeling it the most as they hear us discuss it on these space. And we know we have all age groups here. Let's start with the young Caymanians and where they see it. Let's start out with them. like you rightfully said, they're doing everything right. They finished in school, they got a job, maybe even saved a little bit, but they're looking at the cost of rent. They're looking at the cost of property. They can't get a mortgage. They're stuck living with their parents who they're seeing have struggled from them going to school. And they too are asking themselves, what is the point of working so hard if I can't even build a life?
Mhm.
Then you got the single parents. You have these different categories of people. We're all in this, yes, together, but I tell you what, it's hitting each category of person differently.
We had parliamentarians. Let me remind them. We had parliamentarians who got up in Parliament. One said, I don't forget what he called it, Jane or Susan or whatever, but referring to the plight of a single parent or single mother in this country and how difficult it is to just survive as a single parent, particularly in this climate. And the response from the other side was, don't tell me about that. My mother was one of those mothers and or whatever. That's not the point. What happened back then happened back then. We've come leaps and bounds since that time. Why is it that we are worse off now? Nobody, I dare tell you, very few people, children, back in those days that particular member was referring to, I dare tell you, few children went to bed with hunger bellies. Few, because people knew to look out for them.
Right.
People didn't have, well, let me not say pride, but people were less, I won't say the word that I want to say, but people were kinder. That's the only word that I think fitting. People were kinder. People were more aware. People didn't make a big deal. People, realized that we were all in this together.
Right.
And that my grandmother would say, where 9 can eat, 10 can eat. And that was simply the reality. It's such a selfish way that we live now and worrying about me and mine and to hell with you and not worrying about anybody else. And it's like, of all my mother's children, I love myself the best, but look at, this is where we've ended up. And in 2026, how have we come leaps and bounds on a global stage? However, we got children going to bed hungry. We've got children who are ringing up. That's the only word I can use, ringing up in their beds at night because they've got teeth so rotted that it requires them to go to the OR. And I can prove it. That require them to go to the OR and they don't have health insurance. How we get here?
Yeah.
How we get here? I mean, food is one thing that we can all kind of try to solve and kind of bridge the gap on or whatever, but it's a trickle down effect. And I don't think that we understand how much the trickle down effect actually, how much it trickles down. There are certain costs that are sort of fixed, but fixed variables. Every month that your phone bill going to be X amount.
Jimbo, I'll take your call in a second.
If you have TV, it's going to be X amount, but like, if you go to Foster's, if people shop on a weekly basis, if you paid $5.30 for a loaf of bread last week, that's what you expect to pay this week. And you kind of more or less gauge your budget based on familiarity, familiar costs. And you go in there now and that loaf of bread is now $7. It adds up. It adds up. And I mean,
give me a minute, 1 second. Give me a sec, because what's happening, I'm having some issues with the stream on Facebook, so I'm trying to add them, but it keeps booting me out. So just in case, just stick with me. YouTube is still up. I'm not having any issues, but go ahead. I had another calling in, so please, if you can wrap it up for us.
No, of course, no, I'll leave you there, but I mean, I just want to implore, particularly Caymanians, we are in this together. There is no shame in this. We got to stick around, man. We got to stick around. We got to do better for ourselves, each other, and check on your friends, check on your neighbors. You just never know. And the people who seem to always have it together the most are often the ones who are kind of just about ready to crack. I assure you. So again, I think everybody, no matter how tight you think your budget is, trust me. You can come to me. I'll help you find some room in it to
Yes.
make a little bit of improvement. I'll leave you there.
There we go. Thank you so much. Yes. Good evening, caller. You're live.
Yeah, Sabrina, I think we've lost you on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm having some problems, period, on Facebook. I'm trying to add them all back, but it keeps booting me out. So I'm not so sure what's going on. I keep restarting the links and keep adding it, and it keeps booting me out. So I'm not so sure what's going on. It's keep coming up with a caution. So
Okay, just wanted to let you know.
YouTube is still going. So for if it's anything, I don't know. But right now, I am experiencing some problems on both CMR and my own. So I'm not so sure what's going on. It just keeps booting me out.
All right.
Thank you so
Sabrina.
much, Jimbo. Yeah.
You bet. Bye-bye.
There we go. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're streaming me on Facebook, I am experiencing some problems. I am doing my best to add these links back, but I'm still going live on YouTube. If needs be, you can just switch over to YouTube. I will actually be streaming. I'm doing my best to add these links back. So let's do this. Let's do this. But I'm restarting it. I'm not so sure what's happening in the background, but on YouTube, I'm still actually having a live feed over on the YouTube channel. Let's hope that that holds. So my apologies. I'm doing everything I can. Jimbo has up here, he's saying that between the price of rental properties, utilities, and groceries, who can afford it anymore? Then you have health insurance. These islands sadly have graduated for the elite, which is what I heard was the direction some of these people wanted. And unfortunately, they have succeeded. And here we are. I don't know what is going on with these links today. Oh my God. Please bear with me, but please, I encourage you to go over to YouTube. Let me know if everything is all right over there, because those are still holding over there on YouTube. But I'm being booted constantly out of Facebook for some weird reason. So I'm just going to keep starting it up as we go along. And if it just gets too much and you see me have to end abruptly, it's beyond my control. I don't know what's doing. I'm managing this as best as I can. But we were talking about who's going to be impacted by this on a whole. And when we were looking at even the single parents, mostly women who are doing it all are feeling it. They're raising the kids. They're actually finding themselves working full time, paying for, well, we don't pay for school lunches, but you still need those snacks, right? And then you're looking at the cost of living, your rent, your utilities, your gas. There's no backup, pretty much. And no second income for those, right? No safety net. It is one of those things that is really causing havoc emotionally on a lot of households. And I'm really appealing for those persons to not give up. We have heard our caller that shared with us some of what she has done in order to survive. These are the things and tips and tricks while you're shopping. Some of us may be a little bit more crafty at doing it and understanding what it takes to actually go through your shopping list. But others, ladies and gentlemen, I have to possibly end early because I'm experiencing some serious issues with our live stream today. So I know I'm going to have to cut this until I can sort out what's going on behind the scenes. My humble apologies. I'm doing everything in my power to keep this up, but it's just not working. So you know what? Can we continue this conversation tomorrow? Because it doesn't make any sense that you're not getting me or you're not hearing me and I'm not getting to the masses for something as important as this. So I'm going to have to end the stream today, sort this out behind, and we can pick up this conversation tomorrow. For those of you who are still with me, I want to thank you for sticking with me. And until tomorrow, hoping this gets sorted out. Love you lots. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, but the other side is, and it's blocking the feed for my YouTube people. It is. Thank you for sticking there with me, but I'm not getting anywhere on the actual Facebook. Everything is down, and it's actually blurring out everything. So I'm telling people to come over to YouTube, but I'm hoping that they can, because right now Facebook is not behaving at all. And we are not getting any stream there at all. These are technical difficulties. We have been having some issues. So my apologies there. And we are seeing where we're having those issues. 345-936-8255 for all of you still on YouTube or that can hear me, but I've lost Facebook completely. So you know what? My apologies to each and everyone. This is a troubleshooting that comes real when you're doing this thing live, and these things happen. So there we go. Let's do this over. It's just annoying because it breaks your train of thought, and I want to keep you all up to date with what's going on and sharing. Shaka Zulu, thank you so much. Miss Heights, thanks for letting me know that, but it is disgusting to go through this trying to get all of you up and running here. There we go. Yep. Let's see what's going on. But yeah, but when you look at even the young Caymanians and what they're actually going through, they haven't been left out of this. A lot of them are losing hope. A lot of them are losing that drive to continue. And then we're seeing what's happening. Some of the stats that I found out today as well, and these are facts, and I have to read it just so I don't miss it. The average monthly cost of living for one person in the Cayman Islands right now is actually $2,500. And that's just pretty much covered for a single person for rent and utilities. I stand to be corrected. It all depends on where. When you add food, transportation, and basic expenses, and many are spending more than they earn. People may say, well, why the hell would they do that? It is a reality. When you look now at a family of 3, they need approximately Cayman dollars, $9,600 a month to live. And that's not luxury living. That's just to meet the bare necessities. And that's covering just the basics. You see then even utilities, based on what I found today, they're rising with global fuel cost. And when you look at how we generate most of our utilities from diesel, we feel those increases directly as well. So when you talk about food that I was actually looking at, that almost feels like you're ambushed because you got to eat, right? Due to the fact is, we have a heavy reliance on imports. If there's any global supply chains disruptions, any shipping cost or any delays, once those prices go up, they rarely come back down. And we are going to feel it. But looking more at who's feeling it the most, and this is what we're hearing from the younger generation, is that our young Caymanians trying to start out, trying to make their lives, they can't even afford their first starter rent, be it to rent or to buy. Looking at the middle income, and we've heard some comments saying that is fading, that is kicking back. They should be comfortable, right? Even them right now are living paycheck to paycheck. But is it a culture that's inculcated in us, preparing us for the realities of what is about to descend on us? The high standard of living that we have grown up not knowing. Thank you so much for coming back. I don't know what was going on, to be honest. I started up about 3 times and I stayed on, Connie Bonnie, because YouTube held up and I couldn't leave, even though I was going to exit stage left. I couldn't do it to my YouTube viewers. So I continued. Thank you for confirming. Let's hope it holds. When we look at all of those persons and the middle income that we're seeing facing the same pressures and a culture that is inculcated in us, the standard of living, the quality of living that we're used to, the inevitability of the changing times that we're facing, are we prepared to actually take a step or 3 down in what we're accustomed to? Are we prepared? I personally engaged in a conversation with a lady in one of the big block stores. And I don't know the lady from Adam. I think she was blown over at the prices that she saw on a particular item. And she engaged with me, saying she has resorted now to catching the chickens that are around the place. And there was no shame in her game in saying, I actually catch them and I eat them. And the eggs, so much eggs that she has been able to distribute those to her friends. And I laughed, chuckled in a sense where I probably will not have a problem when it comes to meat. I'm only speaking of meat to share this with you because I'm really not a meat eating person. Okay. But I've heard, who, not me, I would never eat those yard fowl. Who? You would have to pressure them till the cows come home. Don't knock it. And I shared the joke with her. I said, yeah, even those Vienna sausages, because I pointed over at the Vienna sausages. Some people would never catch themselves buying the tin foods. We heard a previous caller saying, cut down on it because of the preservatives, the high sodium content, whatever the case may be, and even spam. I said, some of us could be too glad to eat that. Corned beef. Yeah. And what we were able to engage in that brief conversation, 2 females just engaging, she's picking up and we're talking. You know, the reality hit home. The lady also explained how she was trying her own little thing in the backyard, trying to do her own little backyard gardening to grow her produce, some vegetables and all that sort of stuff. I applauded her. I applauded her for doing that. How many of us, though, and I shared this with her, is wired that way because we're not accustomed to it? Connie, how much orchids you gonna eat if hard time hit you? Would you know how to grow onions? Would you know how to grow yam and that sort of stuff? Would you even have the space? And Connie, I'm deliberately picking at you because I know you can take it. But I mean, you tell that to the average person who don't even know how to hold a rake because they're not accustomed to it. And the realities are coming. This is not fair mongering. This is preparing for the realities. If you can afford it and you can go away. And Dawn, thank you for sharing that with me, that you actually do this once a year. I'm hearing more and more people are doing that they're going up and they're buying their stuff and they're sending it and they can hold them for a year. Maybe that is an option that we may have to look at in the future. 2 or 3 people go up and you split the cost of the freight and the duty and all that sort of stuff. If you see it working out for you, you know, but what happens to those who can't afford that? What happens to those who can't afford that? Shaka Zulu has a question. What directions did folks expect the cost of living to go when they decided to continue to grow the population to please the merchant class? How many generational Caymanians agreed? Shaka Zulu, I wish I could answer that question, because at the end of the day, you do not hear the silent majority. They remain silent. You don't know behind the scenes who is influential in certain people. And this is not a yesterday question, Shaka Zulu. This is a many moons ago. And this is by no means pointing the finger at any previous administration, because I would be lumped into that. But the realities of what we're facing right now, and people continue to say we are spiraling out of control. And the stats, even though inflation statistics doesn't really mean a lot when you're struggling to push a cart. A cart that you used to push has now become a handbasket. Persons who were going to the big block stores and buying in bulk are saying, I just can't afford it anymore. I have to go to the supermarket and just pick up what I need. That may not be the case if you have small children. How do we navigate this when it's not something that we're accustomed to? I would love somebody's feedback in regards to that, to see how you're navigating that, because this is something that not all of us are accustomed to. Say it and be honest about it. Some of us have navigated post-Ivan, and that's the hardest we have ever had life. And those, the first time we could get a little generator, we went back to what we were accustomed to. The second shock was COVID. That was a little different. You understand? But when you look at some of the struggles that are real from those who are coming from another country, you accustomed to a different way of life, and this is a joyride for them because of the very exchange in currency. They don't live like us. They may live in what we have agreed, substandard things that Caymanians would not do, even though some of our Caymanians themselves have found themselves down there that they're saying there's a side of Cayman that we don't see, we don't talk about, but it's real. And it doesn't make the glossy magazines. Who would want to report that? But it's real. But just speaking in general, are we prepared? Because you hear the loose statement, oh, it could get hard. Things are going to get hard. What does that mean to the average person? They equate that to just more expensive stuff at the supermarket. Then I'll go to the fast food joints. Have you seen the prices lately on those boards at the fast food joints? Yeah. This is not crying down any of them. I'm just being real. Even those eventually are going to become something that we have to think twice, because you're not going to be able to afford them. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I can say, remember, a lot of vouchers give out to the various supermarkets, $25 vouchers, $50 vouchers a pop. And every now and again, people would come, fall short mid-month, and they would come. When people tell you, don't give me $25, it is an insult. I was like, huh? It's not like I didn't know. But let me tell you something. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, who actually do this every month, if you ain't giving somebody $100 in vouchers right now, you ain't saying bunks, because it ain't gonna get them anywhere. And that's not being rude. That's not coming across entitled. That's just the facts if you're going to give them something for one of the supermarkets. And especially if you're going to encourage them to get their vegetables and that sort of stuff, their meat kinds, they have to know how to work it. But that's just real. What is $25? Yes, pick 5 for 20, but that's your meats. The difference in your rice and stuff like that. What I'm saying is, some may actually argue with me and says, well, you lucky. They better be lucky to get it. We're not wired that way. Not all of us are wired that way. How do you train a culture who has never really experienced true hard time? How do you have that conversation with your children that they just look at you and they're like, why isn't there milk? Why isn't there more cereal? Why can't we get this box cereal instead of buying that off-brand cereal because it's in a bag? And this is why those conversations have to be real with our children, not to stress them out. This is impacting everyone. And it begs to question, how much more can we take? There's no sense of you living in silence and bottling it all up. But at least we share ideas, things to look out for. ideas that we've had all of our commenters saying here. They can go up and they can shop and they can bring it back and it can last. We see and we hear what our brothers and sisters and loved ones over in the sister islands are actually going through. Sometimes I wonder if it is in silent protest for what's happening from some of the merchants, that they're doing this to try and say, look, this is what you guys are imposing on us. This is what we're going to do. Please correct me if I'm wrong. What other options are we having? Yeah. What options do we have when you only have, like in the sister islands, X amount unless you actually fly off? Let me go to some of the comments. Barbara G, good evening. Dean says, oh, Dean, you something else. If he was premier, the cost of living would go down overnight. It would be interesting how you would do that. How the heck would you do that? Barbara G says, I have no clue why anyone is buying bottled water. All you have to do is put it in a water filter and it's healthier than bottled water. Again, thank you for sharing that, Miss Barbara. When you weigh the cost of these filters and how much you pay for these cases of water and what it does with the plastic and all that sort of stuff, yes, I don't doubt you that it won't work out cheaper. The cost of a filter, the length of time, yes, that could be a healthier alternative as well. Thank you for sharing that. Denver says, honestly, I don't believe these increases are justified. I'm no economist or mathematician. However, from what I've witnessed in Speak, it is the truth. Denver, I said it. I wonder if there is somewhere a silent protest where to just keep turning it up. Let's see how full we can get this, because for whatever reason, we still got to shop. We still got to buy. But is there a message that we're missing? Because some of the items are not justifiable for the increase. Is there something bigger going on that we're not aware of, and we are the consequential? We're suffering that. Yes. Dean says the cost of living is a weapon the government uses on its people to cater to the rich who they work for. At the end of the day, Dean, I have no way of proving that, but it goes back to exactly what I'm saying. Is there something bigger afoot that we're missing? Because our elderly residents as well, all of those individuals who are out there are on fixed incomes. Yeah, they are quietly choosing between grocery stores and medication, choosing between the light and the water. Which one am I going to make roll over this month? And how many other households are not doing that? Yeah. Cost of living, we know, is rising. But how much more can we take? What is the workaround solution? There's just not one wand that you can just brush over. And this by no means is taking a stab at any of the supermarkets. But when you can go and you can see grapes for $6 a pound now, something not right. Something not right. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. And the more we can share these experiences and seeing people that are having the conversations and they're actually speaking about it, I also observe lost, confusion. They don't know what to do. I'm just bringing the topic forward. I am providing the stats, which many of you, it may not mean anything to, but eventually it will all add up. Because you're feeling the pressures, we're seeing increased break-ins, we're seeing persons who are just stressed out from like what the first caller said, what Siobhan called, the caller said, you're doing everything right, but you're just not getting the distance. We're hearing the terms inflation, but what does that equate to not being able to put food on the table? What does that mean? Do you cut back then on when you see your breads, do you start making your own breads? Is that a time then that you come together in the kitchen with your family and you do certain things? Is it an opportunity then to just come together more, or like we rightfully say, a group of friends team up and we go away? But how is that keeping it in the economy? That isn't a quick solution either. And I am a little concerned with the trajectory and the cost of these things. And I'm really, really becoming concerned. Well, look who's decided to join us this evening. Good evening, caller, and welcome. You are greatly missed.
Hi, thank you. Well, life has got us all spinning around.
I know. Maybe like the prices at the till when you go to the supermarket.
I'd like to highlight again something for the public to consider. Some of the members who are in the current government were a part of the previous government that made the decision to build a school for, what is it, 50 million? That I'm told by a very competent person could have been done for a lot less. When it occurred, people, raised their eyebrows, but they didn't really do anything. And there was no real consequences for that irresponsible decision. And so we get to pay the price for the stupidity of MPs. It's all well and good to say that we can't afford, but if the government ran up bills and you're in contractual relationships that you can't really get out of, in fairness to the current government, I think they brought the number down by about 5 million, if I'm not mistaken. If you just sit there and watch your politicians do dumb things, you're going to pay the price. I don't know a kinder way to say it.
And it's not always, the implications are not always felt at that time. You've made reference to that done in the previous administration. And then right now we're seeing where what has been announced, cost of certain things are going to go up. Yes, a lot of people are saying the minimum wage, many people were paying above it, but there are a lot of fees that have been increased that we haven't yet felt the true impact of what you've alluded to, but then things continue to increase as fees increase nationally. It's going to bust at some point.
What I think that people should be mindful of is to be very careful when you say, I think the government should do X. You might want to consider the cost implications of your request or you ask for it. Because nobody likes to waste money more than politicians.
But the cost implications, this is just based on experience, are always a part of certain all papers. That's just based on experience.
Yeah, but okay. The cost implications, writing it down in a budget document that says we're going to spend this, that's not the cost implications. That's just telling you what the price tag is
No,
going
no.
to
What
be.
I'm saying, before a decision is made at
Oh.
a table, at
Yeah.
the table, they're there. Inputs are being made. And I've shared this with how the process works for getting a paper written, that you discuss it. How do you make a
Right.
decision? Each
Right.
department goes along and they weigh in on it. And one of the key departments on every paper before cabinet caucus makes the decisions is that you get input from the Ministry of Finance based on a national budget, and you look then at the cost implications.
Yeah, I agree with that. So what happened in the case with the school then?
We know how that story unfolded.
Well, the problem is that what I'm
That went
saying,
outside, not to cut you, that went outside the halls. That was a
right?
national discussion. But what happened? You see what I'm saying?
Well, well, no,
The
I'm
people
not
were not
sure.
listen. The people weren't in, with where we are right now. Would you say nationally, with the attention that it got, were the people's choices respected? No, because here we go. It's already happening, and
Well,
it's signed, sealed, and delivered.
Well, politicians know that the standard is that the public will raise its voice for about 2 weeks and then it'll die off and that'll be
9-day
the end of
talk.
it.
9-day talk.
Yeah. So if that's what politicians are thinking, then the public needs to do something different than just engage in a 2-week conversation,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously that's not working.
But how do you hold them accountable just in general context then? Because some may say, oh, Sabrina's just bringing this up because she needs content for her podcast. But yet every one of the stories that I'm hearing, all of the comments that we have coming through is real life. How do you hold them accountable? How do you hold, like, as you've described, accountable? 9-day talk is one thing, but now we're feeling, possibly for years to come, the implications of certain decisions that were made that preceded many administrations.
But the people who put us in this mess was resoundingly reelected.
That's what I'm saying. But people not understanding, holding them accountable. What switches during the season? What switches during a campaign season that you forget?
I don't know. Bribes? I don't know. Is that what it is?
I wasn't a part of that, but you see where I am. I'm here.
I understand. You see where I am, because I wasn't a part of it.
Exactly. But who's feeling all of these consequences?
Well,
at what point are we going to realize that you cannot continue to be doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result? Somewhere you're going to wake up and see and show and prove at the end of the day that they may buy you, but as just how they can buy you, they can sell you. And this is some of the consequences. Thank you, Anne.
Well, in addition to, all right, so the true measure of inflation is you have to watch what the policies that government are doing on a daily basis are, not just those that are listed in the budget, but the supplementaries, because it is a true reflection of what the cost will be in the future. Right? Because what politicians will do sometimes is they will say, well, let's just put this number in, but we can always come back and ask for more. Knowing that when they come back and ask for more, they're going over budget. And the reason they do it that way is so they don't look too bad in the budget.
There are just certain pots, though, that you really can't forecast. For example, health is one of the things that you just honestly can't. If you,
well, I'm glad
what I'm saying? That one is one of the most difficult things to forecast, because you don't know. It's hard based on run rate, burn rate. And this is speaking in finance terms now, that I got but it's hard nationally.
Well, okay. Who's addressing the root issues of health? I can tell you one person that I heard talking about something that was in the right direction. I don't know all of what he was suggesting, but that was Dr. Jen. And the subject that he was talking about was high fructose corn syrup.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason this is relevant to this conversation is because the old, I heard you scolding a certain person recently about old people.
Yeah.
So the seniors would tell us
Thank you.
is that a penny saved is a penny earned.
Yeah.
And so healthcare is going through the roof because we're having, generally speaking, a lot of people are having a reckless disregard towards their health.
Mm-hmm.
And many of the issues that we face today, regardless of how it's expressed in the literature, boils down to metabolic dysfunction. And that is why we're having these massive rates of diabetes. These are the root causes of many of the issues that we face in society, and it leads to obesity.
Non-communicable diseases. Yeah.
These are lifestyle decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So what it costs us in healthcare
Mm-hmm.
is because we've chosen to live with a reckless disregard to our health.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, the medical industry has not been telling people the truth about people's consumption of carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it comes to the subject of diabetes, what they tell people keeps them sick. It's a crying shame. And so what I'm saying is, if you want to lower the cost of living, you can't just think of, well, um, you know, how much can I get something from the store
Mm-hmm.
for? You also have to think about, what am I doing that's causing my health insurance
Mm-hmm.
to be much higher because we're just living in a poor way.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that we need to think about is not just how much do we make as in a salary,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to have investment.
How to budget as well.
I know, but I don't want to skim over
Mm-hmm.
the idea of investments, because, like, for example, you know how some people will have, like, say, an apartment and they rent it out and that supplements their
Mm-hmm.
income, for an example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, what that is an asset that is producing an income.
Mm-hmm.
And in times when things are very inflationary, you'll notice that there's this strange phenomenon that occurs. The stock market goes through the roof. But the reason for that is not that somehow the companies are becoming more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
It's that those assets have to be repriced when the purchasing power of the dollar
Mm-hmm.
changes. Right? So it's uh, changing the nominal value of those companies
Mm-hmm.
to account for inflation. Now, some people think of inflation as the rising prices, but what inflation really is the devaluation of your currency.
Mm-hmm.
And a devalued currency requires more of those devalued notes to buy the same thing that you bought yesterday. So people think of it as the price is rising, but it's the purchasing power of the
Mhm.
currency that's falling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have investments that produce an income for you that is separate from your labor. The truth of the matter is if you're just depending on your salary to make it,
Right.
by the time you find out that it's not going to work,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be retired and you won't have an option but to simply be poor.
But you have very little control over what you agree to where salary is concerned, because that is one of the big topics that is happening locally, Denny. People are saying the salaries remaining the same, and yet we see the cost of goods and services continue to increase. At what point do we get a living wage, a livable wage? I'm hearing that topic comes up, and it's as though, yeah, you rightfully say, time flies like that. How do people, the investment part, I get you. I get you. But if you're constantly from hand to mouth, you don't have any control over your agreed salary and when you're going to get a cost of living, if you get it. And private sector versus the civil service is totally different. How can you avoid that if you goes back to what I was saying before you joined us? We now wired that way. Not everybody gets it like you. Not everybody gets it like Siobhan, who told us you know how to purchase your meat. Instead of doing this $6 a pound, you buy the whole chuck and you get it cut up. You go to your butcher, you do this. We're going to have to start teaching some things, Denny. I'm just saying.
Yes, let me tell you what I recommend. I heard part of that conversation. And I recommend you don't buy the grapes. All right, because you see what Dr. Gent was talking about was fructose.
Yes.
You know where fructose comes from?
Those very same things.
That's right. From
Great.
those grapes. Okay. And those grapes originally were tiny and they weren't very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened is farmers did
alter them.
That's right. So that you essentially end up with a sugar ball.
Now you're getting cotton candy flavored and all flavors now in these things. And we're thinking it's cool. I think somebody had mentioned something about strawberries and something. Sabrina, did you know that strawberries, broccoli, and many other fruit and vegetables are hybrid? Yes, man-made. I have cut out all hybrid foods to save so much and they've cut it out and they've felt much better. That was Live Happy. Mm-hmm. I know I remember seeing something.
If people were to focus on eating more protein and more fat, when I say fat, I mean healthy fat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean a Mars bar. Think that's not a healthy fat. You want to steer clear of vegetable oils.
Mm-hmm.
Any type of vegetable oil. The reason it's not made from vegetables, and therefore it is highly processed, and it's very high in omega-6 fatty acids. What is called a standard diet, typically until prior to when they changed it in the U.S.
That was about a month ago.
Yeah, prior to that, it was a very high omega-6 fatty acid diet. Now, in that type of diet, you're getting about 10 times more omega-6 fatty acids than you ought to be getting.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that's important is that omega-6 fatty acids are pro-inflammatory.
Oh.
Omega-3 fatty acids are anti-inflammatory. So if you eat things like fish, but not fish cooked in vegetable oil, because you're being counterproductive there.
Yeah.
It's fish cooked in either butter, real butter, not the thing that I can't believe it's not butter.
Like the Anchor butter?
No, I'll send you a picture of it. Right?
Okay.
I'll send you a picture of it. But basically, what you want is you want a butter that is the whole milk, the cream,
Okay.
and there is one ingredient in it, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe two,
Mm-hmm.
but that's it.
And you can pronounce them all.
Yes, yes, they're not strange things that seem like they're from Mars, because in that the fats that you get in milk, which is where you get butter
Mm-hmm.
from, is some people will say that, oh yeah, but it contains saturated fat.
Mm-hmm.
But the saturated fat in milk is neither pro nor anti, it's neutral.
Okay.
The same is true in beef. We were being led down the wrong road when it comes to fat, because there is an ideology about animals being, living and thinking and feeling and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's that. I don't worry about that kind of stuff, because I mean, I've done the vegan diet, and I can tell you the difference between the two and how they make you feel.
Mm-hmm.
The high protein diet makes me feel the best.
Really?
Yes. I'm not telling you that there aren't some people with certain situations that
That they
might not
can't.
be able to do exactly what I do,
Mm-hmm.
but because there are always exceptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, is what I'm doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Your body can make all of the carbohydrates that it needs
Mm-hmm.
from proteins. So you don't need to have that side of rice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to have that side of potatoes. I know that a lot of people eat because of how it tastes.
Somebody's
And they want
asking, what about coconut oil? Connie is asking,
to
Danny Warren
coconut.
Jr., what about coconut oil?
You know the cold press coconut oil.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want.
That what Denver says, that extra
And
virgin cold press avocado oil it too.
yes, that's more expensive, but yes, yeah. The only problem is that when you get into that oil, you don't want to cook on a high temperature. You want to cook like a medium temperature.
Mm-hmm.
When you cook at temperatures that are too high, especially
Mm-hmm.
if you're using olive oil,
Mm-hmm.
you're creating carcinogenic chemicals in your frying pan or in your pot from avocado oil.
Mm-hmm.
Avocado oil is really meant to be used at room temperature,
Okay.
like putting it in with some spices or whatever for a salad or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
or in some other way, but
Mm-hmm.
room temperature application.
Not heated.
Not yeah, and especially not high heat,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so what we're talking about here is health. And the other thing that we do that undermine our health is we don't get enough sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
This might sound like this is not about how do you afford to live, but it is. It's about how you keep yourself from getting too sick and therefore having high medical bills. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
This is not about diet. This is not about taste. This is this is about
Preventative.
economic.
We're just doing and then the cost of actually, this is what we were headed down, preventative healthcare.
Yeah.
Hence the birth
Because
of this national step survey.
it is cheaper to avoid
Mm-hmm.
a cancer than it is to treat cancer.
Yep.
Now, one of the ways, like when we think, okay, cancer, how do we deal with that? We normally think that we need to do something, right? But the way I'll say it is like this. One of the things that you need to do in for a significant portion of your day
Mm-hmm.
is nothing, meaning fasting.
Mm-hmm.
Because fasting is uh, um, brings in one of the processes in your body called autophagy, where your immune system is cleaning up
Yeah.
damaged cells,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you're getting enough protein in your diet, which is what your your liver would need in order to make the new proteins to replace the ones that autophagy is destroying
Mm-hmm.
because they're damaged.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, think of it as like an ongoing maintenance where you're slowly repairing cells that are damaged instead of living a reckless life, not paying attention to what you're eating, and the damaged cells are just increasing.
Yeah.
Because what is cancer? Cancer is one of your own cells that's been damaged to the extent
And it keep
that
making.
it has lost its ability to self-destruct. And as a result, it keeps multiplying
Mm-hmm.
without dying, right? So when a new cell is created, the old one should die. But that doesn't happen in what is called a cancerous cell.
They keep
They just
multiplying, and
keep multiplying.
yeah, and it's the
And
same footprint.
right. And that continued compounding of cells is what is described as a tumor. So cancer isn't something that's invading you.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer is your own cells that are dysfunctional, which have not been replaced
Correct.
in the way that it ought to be replaced.
Correct.
And so by fasting, you initiate your immune system to engage in a cleanup process to minimize how many dysfunctional cells you have.
Do you know that there are some cultures, I think it's India, I stand to be corrected, that they actually fast? Is it a couple days before a new moon or before a full moon? And it's something that's connected with whatever the vibrations, the universe, whatever, but whatever, it is aligning with exactly what you're saying, that it gives your body that time to pretty much all you're doing that day is having water. And if your blood sugar, because some of us do have either hyper or hypo, then you do a little bit of honey. But then all that day for like, I think 6 or 12 hours, you just hydrate yourself with water. If you have to put a little bit of honey or something in it or a piece of lemon, fine. And that is the main reason for that. But it's a certain time, either before a full moon or just before a new moon, like 2 days out. But it's based on the cycle with the moon. There's a culture that does that.
Well, I'm not sure about the cycle of the moon, but the other thing that if you do like say a 2 or a 3 day fast,
Mm-hmm.
Each month or so, you really initiate autophagy.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that you need to do is you need to do grounding. You need to take off your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go outside and step on the bare ground every single day. Because by doing that, you allow the electrons in the earth to flow into your body. Okay? And remember that that is important to balance cells in your body that have unpaired electrons, right? And so this is part of how you maintain your health. You need to get enough sunshine, not just for vitamin D, but you need to get it for melatonin. Melatonin, not to make you sleep, but inside of your mitochondria acts as an antioxidant.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it's important to have an antioxidant inside of your mitochondria,
Mm-hmm.
you can't go and supplement for this,
Right.
okay? Because it's not going to go into your mitochondria. You can only get this by being exposed to the sun.
Mm-hmm.
The reason this is important is that all of the metabolism is happening inside of your mitochondria. And that's where you get the reactive oxygen species being created, and therefore need the antioxidants to be there to neutralize those free radicals.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they go on to damage proteins that cause metabolic dysfunction, that cause your health to go to hell in a handbasket.
Mm-hmm.
But what he was saying about high fructose corn syrup, that is a very serious issue. If you forget about everything else I've said today and just stop doing high fructose corn syrup, the changes in your health would blow your mind.
Wow. And this is why we love this space. The gentleman, say what you want about him. He was on to something. And you may not have agreed with his approach in many things, but it was amazing what came out of the results from the STEP survey that aligned with what he was saying. He only needed the information between the 3 Cayman Islands that showed itself in the national STEP survey to confirm that what he was saying was not incorrect. The data, caller, is here. We have it. All we have to do is to nationally get certain things going and make certain lifestyle changes, share spaces like this, but from a national perspective, that document and all of those findings are in the public's domain.
Well, I'm not sure of all of the findings,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't want to.
I wanted to do a show. I wanted
Yeah.
to do a show, but what complements the show is having, at that time, him, but he did not get permission to join me on the show to break it
sounds
down
like
in
that
layman's
sounds-
terms.
That sounds like someone else I know who didn't get permission to teach us something that would be beneficial.
Thank
to
you
us.
very much. I have it more than once. He was not allowed to speak on it in layman's terms.
Well, on that note, I will say that healthcare is a business, and some people are more interested in revenue than health.
And
You asked me a question before. You asked me, how do I know this stuff, and
yeah,
why do I take this? Because I have come to the understanding that that I am going to have to be my own advocate. Nobody else is going to care about my health more than me.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And so I must understand the issues myself. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not expecting everybody to go off and
No,
spend tons of time doing the same thing.
But what do you think I have to do, caller? And you know it. I have to then be able, and many a times when I want to deliver something because it's important, it's impactful, to do exactly what you do and research it in order to deliver it. It's not to tell you that I wouldn't be able, in layman's terms, to bring you the findings of that STEP survey, but you understand, look at the difference in the energies when 2 of us are feeding off of each other, okay? Yeah. To help educate the public.
And
I can do it. I can do it, but he didn't get permission.
And the truth of the matter is, people are going to believe someone like him more than they would believe even you. I mean, even though you're a registered nurse, but you still don't carry the weight of a doctor, right? Yeah,
but even at the not a registered nurse, but I used to be. But what I'm saying,
that's what I meant.
But at the end of the day, I was blown over knowing that this man was instrumental in that document. And outside of being presented at one of the health conventions, right? In order to break it down as it soaks in, you know how much regional jurisdictions actually are saying, wow, they can't believe we pulled that off. Paho Cayman, they were so blown over at the trajectory, okay, that we were going, that we actually managed to pull it off. The information is there. It is all there.
But
And all we wanted to do was to bring it in an open forum, have an open discussion. This is what you do that can help us nationally, get it to preventative health care. This is how you tie in public health. This is what you can do in your home. This is what you can do from a community standpoint. It's all there.
well, one of the problems that I have with those types of surveys is that they're done by allopathic doctors. And allopathic doctors have a different
Oh,
view.
Jim. Oh, not Jimbo. Danny, we're in overtime. Oh my God. We're at 7
All right.
o'clock. I gotta go. I gotta go because
Bye.
there's another show. We can continue this tomorrow. Loved having you.
Bye.
There we go. Oh my God. You see how good what happens when Danny gives us a little break? Well, I don't want to impose on the other show that's coming up on cmrtv.com because it's all about football. I love you lots. That's the second time for today I've done that. See you tomorrow. Let's pick this conversation up tomorrow. Take care, guys.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.